Again, it's good to see everybody here to worship with us on this Lord's Day. We got a very important day coming up in 9 days. And then on that day, several of us, some of us will have a very important decision to make. Now, we all have decisions to make as far as who we want to be mayor or city council or county jailers or in other offices like that. But there's one that, in my opinion, outweighs all the others. And it's going to affect 2 cities. It'll affect the whole county. But there's 2 cities that are having to consider this. And again, it's, do they want to allow the sale of alcohol in the city limits? In Joshua chapter 24, the last chapter of the book, close to the end, starting in verse 15, going through 27, this is, at this point in the story of the Israelites, they've already entered into the promised land and divided it up in accordance with their inheritances. And they've settled and they've conquered the land. But Joshua is telling the people, asking the people, who will they serve? Verse 24, or starting up in verse 15 rather. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve. Whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And he goes on through there, but he's asking people, decide this day who you will serve. Will you serve the Lord, Yahweh, or will you serve the strange gods which were found in Egypt? The ones that they left, that's ones on the other side of the flood? Or the God of the Amorites, the people that they conquered when they were overtaken, when they were moving into the promised land with God's promise. And throughout that passage, I didn't read it, but 3 times the children of Israel declared, we will serve the Lord. The first one is in verse 18. And they said, we will serve the Lord, for he is our God. Again, down in verse 21, the people said unto Joshua, nay, but we will serve the Lord. And then the final time in verse 24 in this passage, and the people said unto Joshua, the Lord our God we will serve, and his voice we will obey. Joshua's making the children answer that question. He's asking them, who will you serve? And why was Joshua making the children of Israel serve or answer the question? Because as we've seen all throughout the Exodus and Joshua, there were times they turned their back on the Lord. And things didn't go quite so well. But another answer can be found in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24, and it's also in Luke chapter 16, verse 13. We're going to look at the verse in Matthew. Matthew 6 and verse 24. And this is in the part of the Sermon on the Mount. In verse 24, and this is Jesus saying, "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon." Now, mammon is traditionally translated as riches or wealth. And as you go on reading through the end of that chapter, Jesus tells us not to worry about things, not to worry about the things of the world. In verses 31 and 32 of chapter 6, "Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things." And so, since he's telling us not to worry about the things of the world, why have I been harping on this issue of alcohol for several Sundays now? And yeah, Jesus tells us not to worry about it. And and one of the first arguments you hear when it comes up is, well, Jesus turned water into wine. He made wine. So why isn't that allowed? Aren't we allowed to have it? Yes, Jesus turned water into wine, but that's a whole nother sermon of why he did it and what type of wine was it. Today, it's because I'm talking because we've got a decision to make. Choose this day whom you will serve, God or alcohol. And the reason I'm saying that is, and we have seen this, you can see it through studies and just being played out in front of us. If you use alcohol or is allowed, alcohol can and will become a master to you. You will become a slave to it. Yes, there are people that can have one glass of wine a night, and they're fine with that. But, you know, they have one glass and that's it. That's all they want. But then again, the very next night, they have one glass. And again, the following night, they have a glass. Now, have they mastered alcohol, or has that mastered them in that situation? They think they're controlling the alcohol, but are they really? Or has alcohol become their master by them desiring to have one glass each night? And they look forward to having that glass each night. Then we know that there are others. Because we know that people say, well, if you can control it, alcohol's okay. But there are people that we know that cannot control the use of alcohol. We see that played out every day. They have to have it at every meal. They have to have it on breaks, or before they go to work. After they get home from work, they have to have it. Excuse me. And then on weekends, they do nothing but drink, one right after the other. And sometimes they go to parties and there they really drink. They have one and then they just pound them back and get to the point of passing out or blacking out. So has alcohol mastered them, or have they mastered alcohol? Now, I'm pretty sure everybody in here in the congregation this morning has heard about the deputy jailer that here in Webster County that got arrested for showing up to work drunk. He drove in from Hopkins County over to Madisonville. When he was tested at the jail, the breathalyzer said his blood alcohol content was 0.18. Legally drunk, the blood alcohol content is 0.08. So he was twice the legal limit. But yet he drove in from Hopkins County somehow. And this was not the first time, supposedly, that he's done this. Reading through things on Facebook, people talked about that knew the person, know this person because he's been working there for several years and under different administrators, under different jailers. And supposedly he's done it under the others. But this was not his first time. But yet he shows up to work drunk. And I can very easily say that alcohol has mastered him if he's been able to show up to work drunk and until now not have any repercussions. Now he's sitting in jail with the people that he used to guard. Now he's sitting in there with the inmates, having to explain to them why he's in there. Instead of on their side of the bars, instead of on the side he was originally on. So, November 6th is a very important day. Yes, we have races, like in elections. We have to decide between who we want to be mayor, or a city council, or a county representative of some type. But the most important one, I think, is on alcohol. Do you choose to serve God? Or do you choose to serve alcohol? And what I mean by serving alcohol is letting it rule the life of your county and of your town. Because we all know, because we can point out in towns where it's been voted in of what it has done to the towns and show you how it is ruling the town and controlling what goes on in the town, in the counties. So, you need to decide. Are you going to stand with the Israelites like they were, like we see in 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 20, where they are rejecting God and demanding an earthly king so they can be like the other nations that surrounded them. That's another argument people use. Well, let's be like Tompkins County. They got alcohol. Why don't we have alcohol? We can be like them. Look how big they are. Sometimes it's not about being like somebody else. Sometimes it's about being different. And we need to be different. Just like the Israelites are supposed to be different. They're chosen, set apart. Or are you going to decide to stand with Joshua? Back in Joshua that we read, and serve the Lord. Because the very last words on his verse, on that verse, verse 24, or actually, not 24, I'm sorry, 15. The very last phrase. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And Joshua was declaring that he was going to serve the Lord. And that is who we need to say when we go vote on November 6th. I choose to serve the Lord. I choose to serve Jesus and follow him. And so, choose this day who you will serve. And so as we get ready to have our invitation, I'll be down in front. And if you have decided to serve Jesus as a Christian, I'll be down front waiting for you to make that decision. Come on down and accept Jesus into your heart and invite him to stay with you. Or if you want to join our fellowship, become a member of this church. I'll be down front waiting for that decision. And if you just have a prayer you need to pray about, just pray between you and God, whatever it is. Or if you want to come down front and have me pray with you, I'll be down front waiting. So as we get ready to sing,
Number 347.
please come to the front.
Number 347.